Hey, howdy, hey, what is going on? Kirk, your Rad Hatter host. You mad, bro? Got my Cheshire Cat. I am ready. Because tonight's episode is special. We're talking about the Mad Tea Party and the teacups. Classic, iconic ride from 1955 that you either love or you hate. Just so happens I love it because it's the only thing that I can ride that is Alice themed in our attractions. You know? What's up, Ash? How are you? Good night. What's up, Nikki? What's up, Mika? Megs? What's going on? Hey!
Hello.
How are you? Oh, I gotta turn my volume up.
I have my
Perfect.
record. So this one.
Isn't it? You know what I love about that one? So I found that one in a Goodwill, right? So yours is a little bit different because I actually found that one on eBay as like a set, like a bundle. But I found one in a Goodwill, and I just love the art in that. The art is so good
It
in that
is.
record. I
It
think
is really
actually,
good.
I really miss a lot of the records art is just so good, and a lot of the Disney ones had a ton of it. I mean, it's just so pretty, and all the stories and illustrations,
This
and
one's falling apart. It's a little bit falling apart, but it's okay. Yeah, it's got all kinds of things in it. It's a good. Queen almost looks nice in this one.
well, she was like, "Hey, Alice, I'm gonna get you." Hey, as long as the records weren't scratched, which you said they were in pretty good condition, I think we're winning.
I know. I mean, that one sounded great. So I think there's a few scratches here and there, but it's really not too noticeable. So
Yeah, not
anyway,
too shabby.
thought we should kick off with that song since of what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah, why not, right? So, without further ado, welcome to another episode of Distry. Oh my gosh, we're actually live and in person and not pre-recorded. So, Kate is back from gallivanting in all the fun locations with your family on your road trip. And of course, Disneyland was a part of that. But here we are back together, and we wanted to, instead of go super deep dive into an attraction that will take us several months to complete, we elected to maybe do some easier things that we could tackle in one episode. So, tonight's episode, we are tackling the Mad Tea Party, which debuted in 1955 over in Disneyland, and we're going to go through all the history of that and then some.
Yeah, it's really, this one was a little bit of a challenge because, some of the other rides, like, I already know a million things about it, but because there's not a tremendous amount of, like, history like the Haunted Mansion, you really had to dig to find, like, what is unique, what's the history, what can we find? And I did find a few things, so I'm excited about it, but it encouraged me to look deeper.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things to like preface and set up history wise before you actually get into the attraction. And then I did find some concept art for originals, and then I found some other mechanical kind of things, which actually was kind of surprising. So what I love about this series is that it allows us to do a little bit more research about things that maybe get often overlooked, not only by everyone, but also folks like us who are super geeky and detail oriented.
Absolutely. Well, I mostly started what I had planned around the concept art. So if you have stuff that's before that, feel free to go first if you'd like.
Well, I think we should start at the beginning, and when we're finished,
At the
stop.
very beginning. Start at the very beginning.
So I think it all starts with Charles Lutwig Dodgson. And you're going to go, who on earth is that? And I'm going to go, we've talked about him before. You're going to go, what? In like a Haunted Mansion episode? Ah, yes, we were talking about photography in the Haunted Mansion. And whom were we talking about? Probably know him by his pen name, Lewis Carroll. So why is Lewis Carroll significant? Well, Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland, or Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, as well as Through the Looking Glass, which clearly huge inspiration for Walt Disney, as when he grew up, he read a lot of those stories and was inspired. And in fact, part of his early productions, and I guess we could talk. I don't know if you want to talk Alice comedies yet, or if you have anything else before I get into. I'll do Alice comedies in a second, but
I didn't even know we were going all of Alice history, so I'm.
oh,
I don't
dude,
know. I'll
dude,
dig
I'm
up
just,
some
I'm
of my
just,
stuff
I'm
from
giving
Walt
like a
Disney
little,
Family
a
Museum.
little snippet, little tiny bit.
I'll pull
So,
up my stuff from that from the Walt Disney Family Museum from that while you talk.
okay, sounds good. So, the one thing that I absolutely love about the actual stories of Alice in Wonderland is people always like to really dig deep into was there some sort of drug use? Was there some sort of religious undertone? Was there some political references? And you could say that if you wanted to really dive in and create some metaphors, but the truth is it's nonsense. And if you want to know why we exist, Walrus Carp, and why I don't take myself seriously as a concept, is because it is nonsense. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be lighthearted and enjoyable. I also think that Alice, I don't know if it would have been as popular if it hadn't been brought physically to light by Sir John Tennell. Because if Sir John Tennell had never drawn the original concept art, I don't know if we would have gotten anywhere near the iconic imagery that we have today. So I'll also show I have some Mary Blair as well in here. So I'll just show you some early concept art of Alice with the caterpillar. Now,
I have
no,
Mary
obviously,
Blair for you too.
okay, sweet. So I'm just giving you a little bit. I know we're not doing everything, but I just love looking at all these old photos, old pictures, illustrations, the Jabberwocky. I mean, there's so many things that actually don't get shown in the films that are a big part of the novelization. So,
Right.
oh, thank you so much for the little love for Toy Story Mania. All right, where's my Mary Blair at?
Yeah, congratulations about that. That was amazing
thank
to
you.
watch.
Thank
I
you, thank
picked up
you.
some tricks from that. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
now I know what to do.
So we can make, just show you a little bit of differences here with Mary Blair's take. Famous Disney artist. Which, by the way, I'm not crazy about Mary Blair's concepts of Alice, and in fact, like the series that they just came out with had a lot of that. I mean, I love her work on Small World. I can't get into the Alice stuff as much, although this is one of my favorites of that series.
Well, let me see. I saw some of the actual concept art at the Walt Disney Family Museum this past week, and so I don't know if some of these I had never seen before. So this is one of them with the Cheshire Cat. It's a little bit blurry, but you can see it. So this was the actual piece in front of me, and then this one has a little bit of a glare on it, but this is the Queen from the front. You got the back, I got the front.
I like that it's everything shaped like a heart.
Yes. And then this was really neat. I like this one a lot. I think this one has a lot of character.
Yeah, the dodo is such a great character.
And then I found this poster. This one's not Mary Blair art, but this one, I was so frustrated that you weren't on the live just because I was like, Kirk needs to see this. Check this out.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. So was that was that a theatrical poster, like a movie poster that they had done?
Yes, I think so. It says.
Oh gosh, I need that in my life. Have you guys ever seen the film National Treasure? Well, I will be recreating that as I heist that exact artifact from the walls in San Francisco.
I was like, this is so perfect for Kirk. I know.
This morning it was so wild. I was coming out of I was checking out at Walmart, and the woman noticed my wallet, because my wallet here. Can you hand me my wallet real quick? Thank you, Assistant Mel. Thank you. So I'm taking out my wallet to pay, right? And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love Alice in Wonderland." I was like, "Me too." And she goes, "The time has come," the walrus said. She just starts like quoting the. I'm like, I don't know what else to do except for quote this whole entire thing. So we like basically did half of it, and then I walked out going, like, that is. It's so funny how, people, we just have such great nostalgia and attachment and emotion to these things, Little did you know that I'm a crazy person for Alice, and it went way, way further down the rabbit hole than that.
Well, I was funny because I was like, I realized I do have a kind of like a costume, but it is the Queen of Hearts, and it's an apron. You can only see the bottom is fabulous, but the top is really boring. So I was like, I'll just do a little bit of a Disney bound for Alice for now,
Yeah,
and
no, that
I'll save the Queen one for when we do the Alice ride because she's in that ride, and we got to do it then. So I'm just saving it. But then Elliot let me borrow his mug, which I think he would love. It's got it's like some of the original art, and it
yeah.
says mustard. Don't let's be silly.
Let's not be silly now. Lemon,
And
that's
then
a different story.
it's got this little plate.
Oh, that's
Twinkle,
cool.
twinkle, little bat. And when I asked Elliot if I could borrow it, and he's like, "Are you gonna break it?"
You know what's funny? This must be borrow your spouse's mug night because this is Mel's. I bought this for Mel, although it got in the dishwasher, and this is color changing,
Oh,
and but it does say "Stay Curiouser" inside.
oh, I love that. It's great. Cheers to our spouses.
Yep. I did. Kel, I sent you a message, if you know that I respond on Discord, because I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who responds in emojis with the Gaston picture. If you know Gaston emojied it and it's completely out of context, that was me. So that was me acknowledging. That's pretty cool.
Did we do this one yet? Do you have
We did
something
not.
like
We
this?
did not. We had something
This is
similar.
a-
Yes, I think that
Yeah,
first
that's
one I
another
had.
Mary Blair one, which I actually kind of like this one. I like the was the March Hare. I like the March Hare in this one.
That's actually just the White Rabbit, right? White Rabbit and Mad Hatter.
Oh, that's the White Rabbit.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's the
That's
White
not the March
Rabbit.
Hare. Too many
You know,
rabbits.
the White Rabbit just heard that you called him the March Hare, and look how with disdain.
Well, we're all a little mad here. It's fine.
It is fun. All right, real quick, because I stink at like all the Alice comedies, but I just wanted to mainly say that the Alice comedies in Alice in Wonderland has been so pinnacle and also really kind of revolutionary in terms of concept art. If you've never seen this or like concepts or filmmaking, 1923 short short film that basically bankrupted the company.
The Alice comedies?
I mean, basically, it's like right before they finished the film, and then the studio went completely bankrupt. But then they ended up raising some more money and then resold it out in California, and then did all of the
All the Alice comedies. Yeah.
right, all the Alice comedies. But the big thing that was so cool about the Alice comedies is that, you know, all the way back in 1923, could you imagine watching cartoons and live action blended together? Here you think Who Framed Roger Rabbit was so innovative. Well, it really wasn't. 1923 we were doing that.
That's true. Well, and the idea for the Alice comedies came from there was another. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on their name. But there was another animator that was doing shorts that had like the animator's hand hovering above the board and sketching. And then they were doing, and sort of combining that with animation on the board as if he was like drawing it. And so that was where they got the idea for, they're like, well, let's do that, but in reverse, where we have a live action human, and then like they're interacting with all of the people. So, and they had Julius Katz was in one, I believe. Oh, I had Julius Katz. I think I lost it. But I'm trying to find if there's any. Those things I was showing you were all from the Walt Disney Family Museum. They have just a very small section on the Alice comedies. But you're right. What happened was that they became popular, and then they like did them so much they kind of became old, and they're just like, what else can you do with this? I think they had several girls that played Alice. I know they convinced one of the first ones to move all the way across country to like continue doing these Alice comedies.
Yeah, that was Virginia.
Virginia, I know. I'm trying to remember her name.
I can't remember her last name. Yeah, but they
Full
they
of
basically said
facts.
you're going to be famous. Move
Yeah.
all the way out here, which is a whole other story.
I
Scandalous.
feel like, oh, that wasn't the Alice comedies. I have like all these great pictures and things, but none of this is Alice comedies. This is all other Walt memorabilia. So I have the camera. These are like cameras they use to film some of these things.
I rewatched just that beginning, and it's so crazy to me how like it would have been magic in 1923. That's all I can say. Is it would have been magic to see live action and cartoons overlaid on top of each other. It was so revolutionary. That's why, like, when I think about Walt Disney as like somebody who invented completely new forms of medium in ways that nobody had ever done before. You know, like even just Snow White in general, the way that they had developed in their studios with using the multi-plate system, and the fact that nobody else was thinking, oh, we should do a talkie, and the talkie should be entirely animated, and it's mainly for adults and kids. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that is so amazingly risk forward, panned out.
Well, I mean, over and over again, we've seen innovation come from the Disney studios. When you're talking about the Silly Symphonies, with that's where they added color to animation for the one with the trees. So that was that they originally produced half of that in black and white, and then they went back and added color to it because they decided, no, we're going to do this in color. And then so they had color. They, of course, Steamboat Willie, the very first cartoon animation with synchronized sound, which means the sound was synced up with the film, not like a separate record. So I mean, and then throughout time, there's just like there's so much innovation that they did again and again and again with their filming techniques. They were always, and from the accounts that I've been reading about the way that the Walt Disney Studios worked, is Walt really pushed his people. He believed that they could do more than they thought they could do. And he's like, figure it out. It's like, it's kind of fun to do the impossible, right? Like, we're just going to figure out how to do it. And this is what we want. Or he'd say this, you know, his eyebrow would go up if like he didn't like something. Like he really was not an easy person to work for, but people loved how he pushed them to do more.
Yeah, he demanded a lot. And perfection would be an understatement in terms of if he had a vision, the reality had to match the vision. And I love that. He's like, has a very, very strong, high standard, which could be brusque and but he was super competitive and he just wanted to push boundaries. And I think that was it, where they could take a lot of safe routes and they didn't necessarily. And Megs, what you're asking for, yes, the Alice comedies are on, or any of these things, you can find clips and snippets on YouTube. So just one quick Google away. Also, just for fun, because I always like sharing kind of a little bit of history. So this is one of those Sir Tennell drawings done in the 1800s. And you got to remember the top of the Mad Hatter's hat, so here's our tea party scene, is a price tag. So in this style is meaning like, how much does this cost? So this hat in this style is 10 shillings and 6 pence, which in today's dollars would be just under $50. So pretty nice top hat, not gonna lie.
Yeah, and you've talked about hatters being mad before, but do you want to give that spiel again?
Yeah, so one of the processes for, and it was like an old colloquial saying was, you're as mad as a hatter. It's because the way that they would basically cure the hats to make them a little bit more shiny and also a little bit more resilient and structured, they would actually use liquid mercury. So as a result, by working with liquid mercury over many, many years, it absorbs into your skin. And you know, there's actually stories of many different, what do they call them in ancient China? The rulers of ancient China, I'm blanking on which titles they had. It's not always emperors. It's not always emperors. So anyway, they actually believed that drinking mercury, some of them, would extend life as well. And they also went batty and crazy and eventually killed him. So Mad Like a Hatter, and why the the Mad Hatter is so crazy and kooky is because he was poisoned himself making hats using mercury. So the little stuff that used to be in thermometers, which I don't think you can even get a mercury thermometer anymore. It's all digital stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
Why can't we put the liquid metal, which is super dangerous at room temperatures, in our mouths again, like the good old days, to find out if we have a fever?
Well, I have. Sorry, I'm just picturing that. I
Well,
have a little bit of,
you're reading, and then you registered. Like I know what you're
I
doing
did.
right
I
now.
was reading. I
You're
know.
doing research, reading,
It took
and then
me a second.
registering. If
Well, I have a
only.
really interesting little commentary, and I was trying to figure out where I got this from, and I would quote it if I knew, but I think I took a picture of this and I didn't quote the website, but it says, madness has been a popular topic ever since the infamous Bethlehem Asylum opened its doors to visitors in the 17th century, and then crowds flocked to ogle at its terrifying conditions. In turn, asylum inmates went around the houses to sing, often covered in the straw they slept on, creating a stereotype that lives on in Alice. Carol's Mad Hatter sing the nonsensical Twinkle Twinkle Little Bat, and to have straw on one's head marked not only William Shakespeare's King Lear as mad, but also John Tenniel's, is that how you pronounce that? John Tenniel's depiction of Carol's March hare. With the Industrial Revolution and the extremely poor working conditions that came with it, populations in so-called pauper lunatic asylums for the working class skyrocketed. Asylum patients usually reflected the local industries and most frequently included workers of the shoe and textile industries, weavers, tailors, and you guessed it, hatters. Although patients were far more overworked, consumptive, or starved than affected by mercury poisoning. That's what it says here.
Consumption. The I do have one really important question for you. Why is a raven like a writing desk? What?
Why is a raven like a writing desk?
She's stark,
Twinkle,
raven,
twinkle,
mad.
twinkle, twinkle.
Also, I'm ready. Here's the non sequitur. I'm just staring at him right now. I don't have as much of my Alice stuff. I have tons of stuff, but it's all in storage. But I do have a lot of pins. So I've got the Walrus and the Carpenter, which just came out. This just came out with the little curious oysters. And then I have this guy, which is a Disneyland pin. I got to take it out of the plastic because it's too cool. And it's got like a little dangling teacup with the Mad Hatter.
That's fun.
And this is from 2006. There's only 1,000 of these, so this is like super, super special. I'm not a pin. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not a pin trader or anything, but I do keep a select few amount of pins. And then Kristen Mark actually got me this guy, which matches my ears.
I love that.
I know. That's so cute. I love it. And this was actually my very first pair of ears, were the teacups.
And I got super nervous. I was like, I'm going to go do this live with Kirk, and he's going to realize how little Alice stuff I have in my house. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, I'm not judging or anything. You know? This is normal.
So I'm like, Elliot, give me your teacup.
Quick! I have to pretend. Well, you know what? It's so funny. I literally, for the first time ever, I didn't have anything Alice in Wonderland themed until I made a shirt with the stripes on it. But my sample still hasn't gotten here yet. It's supposed to come here probably by tomorrow. I'll end up getting it. So I'm going old school with this one t-shirt I had from a very, very, very long time ago. And it just says, "You mad, bro?"
I love it. It's great.
Yeah. So, no, the ears are not heavy. They're very, very light. So, all right. I feel like we should we jump to 1955?
Yeah. Should we do the concept art for the ride? I've got this fabulous one. There's a couple different concept art out there. This one's by Bruce Bushman. And I'll read you the words in a second, but I wanted to show it to you first. And this had like 20 teacups that would circle around a central hub, like a racetrack with a banked side.
I love this one. So here, while you're reading, I can, because I have that one up as well. What I love is that the Cheshire Cat is looking at the caterpillar, who looks like he is blowing smoke rings, which is amazing. But that in the center, that centerpiece is just, we got.
Well, and look at the fence too. Do you see the fence? It's like the
cards.
Cards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just,
and then all the way in the back too.
Sad we didn't get this. I know, like it's so detailed, and it would be so different going around in a circle rather than what we do now. But
you're literally spinning in a cup while going around a banked like racetrack. Like, could you imagine that? Like, if physically moving, I could see. You know what? If they took trackless Like if they ever had to do this for like a new park, if they did trackless teacups but still allowed them to spin, that's an idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they totally could. They have the technology for it now. But so the words on there say, dizzy as the delightful scene in Alice in Wonderland is the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. All guests go spinning around in teacups. They are entertained by large animated figures of the Mad Hatter and the March Hare engaging in furious debate. A gigantic tea kettle, Calliope, provides music, which then we'll see later in some of the other rides. I think that's where we get the big tea kettle. I'm trying to see, where is the tea kettle in this picture? Do you see a tea kettle?
I don't
Is
see a
it
tea
not in
kettle,
here?
except the only thing I see is very, very small. I mean, you could say that's the tea kettle. It's very tiny.
I'm
It's in the
like, that's not
center.
a gigantic one.
No, 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 no,
I wonder
no.
if there's another one
Yeah.
that's just off, like maybe in the bottom left or something. Like, I don't know. Doesn't look like a tea kettle.
I don't know. This guy's trying to get into the cup though. He's like, "Yo, leave room for me."
I think he's leaning on the fence.
He is. He is. I mean, there's no real entrance. I guess it would be back over. Maybe you enter in between. That's probably it. It was supposed to be you enter in between the caterpillar and the Cheshire Cat. That's got to be
Yeah, it
it.
does look like a little fence there. Mm-hmm. I wonder what this big circle on the bottom right is. Like,
It's
I
like a
don't know.
hedge. It's
Or
like
a
a giant
hat.
hedge.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's
Could be a
hedge
lot of
maze.
things.
Like to me, this whole entire
Yeah.
outside is like very hedge mazy. Which I mean, we do get at least in like Paris, we get little elements of that, and of course, your dark ride, we get elements of that. So we get a little bit of it.
And or like a shaped tree. You think of like the square trees that are next to the castle and things like that. Maybe it's something like that, like a shaped hedge. So, but then this one I found, and I wish I had a date on this. I feel like this had to be a really early concept for this. And it's a teacup ride and like a tablecloth and a doily. You have creamer and you have the teapot. You have a sugar bowl, and it's just it's like a dainty tea party, like grandma's tea party. So
I
I
have
thought that one was really interesting.
I love that one because if you look at the top of the design work, the cups that actually show up in 1955, not all of them had designs, but one of the designs in the to the right looks like it's one of the first designs on the side of a cup. Even though we're looking
It does.
from the top, that does look like one of the side cup.
I think this is also where we get that the painted things that it's spinning on. What is it? What is the name? For that?
Saucers,
The
cup and
surface that it's
saucers.
spinning.
Yeah,
Saucers.
the saucers.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but not the saucers, but the things underneath it, like the platform for the ride.
Oh,
is
oh, yeah, yeah,
painted.
yeah, yeah. Yours, yeah,
And I think
especially,
that
yeah.
I think that's where we get that from. If I'd say, and like I think the gigantic tea kettle in the middle from the other one is where we're going to find it in Florida later when we look at Florida.
Yeah. So
But that one actually,
this is another Bruce Bushman, and this one actually does have a date on it, and it's all the way down here. It says March. Hang on. Let me get my readers. March 23rd, 1955.
so that's really
So
like late.
it was four. It was like 4 months before.
Like, geez.
It's like yeah. Hey, Bruce, how you coming along with that teacup ride? It's good.
I'm on it.
I mean, if you think about it,
Promise.
right? It does. The attraction itself kind of looks like it's not finished a little bit when you look at the
Well,
finalized one.
it's
Do you know what I
interesting
mean?
to me because that had to be in production by that point. It's into some capacity because okay, so Aero Development is the one that made this ride to begin with. It was a contract that Disney had, and they actually lost money when they made these rides. There was 6 of them that they made, including they not the carousel, but they helped develop the carousel and polish it because it was originally a carousel, but they helped make them all into jumpers. They did Mr. Toad, Snow White's Adventures, Dumbo, and the Casey Junior Train, and the Mad Tea Party. They all manufactured them. And I actually have a fantastic quote by Bob Gurr because he says these were all prototypes. But the guests got to try out the prototypes. That's how it was in 1955. So he has one that he said, they're prototypes. That meant all of the developmental testing was to be done by our Disneyland guests. Direct quote by Bob Gurr. So, and they did.
Well, if
Did
you
test them.
what I love about the original attraction. Can I now actually show
Yeah.
your digital? So I love Yesterland. Do you ever watch any of their content? They're fantastic.
Yesterland's good. I also love
Defunct Land is good too.
Defunctland's good. And then Daveland has
How many
photos of
lands are
those.
there? Jeez.
I know. Oh, I have that same photo.
I
There
know.
we go.
I mean,
Same place.
these ones are so good. But what I love about seeing these early cups is there's literally just a rope. Like that's it. That's all the kids had was just a little tiny rope. And this is obviously before they really started painting the bottom structure because there is. Hang on, I can go to. I like this one because you really get to see the colors of what it was intended
Yeah.
to look like.
I know that they painted them the first 2 years. So the first 2 years were interesting because they went in every single morning for the first couple months, right after it opened. This ride would crack every single night, every single day that it was used. So they would actually go in every morning and weld for 2 hours. They would weld all the cracks in this ride. And it wasn't until I think like a month in. Let me see. Let me double check. I think it was at least a month in that they figured out what was causing the cracking and they like redid it. So when it very first opening day, like they're like, this isn't going to work. We can't go weld this every morning, nor is that safe,
Yeah.
really. And they didn't have any sort of. Oh, I have a great video. They didn't have any sort of mechanism to keep it from spinning. Like it would just spin fast. Like there was
No,
nothing to stop it.
it's not until like it's not until like the 70s.
Watch this.
Yeah, they just go forever. You could fly on these things.
And
I'm
so
actually disappointed that they
opening
have like
day.
safety mechanisms in place. It took a long time. It was not until they redesigned in the 70s with the upgrade here at Magic Kingdom, but they still were really fast opening day in Magic Kingdom. I think it was 2004 after a park guest actually got hurt afterwards that they
Yeah.
officially
Well, they
add
spun
a
so
way
fast
to
they
slow
got
them
so
down.
Yeah, they got so dizzy they fell on their way out. And look, there's like people
Yeah.
standing. Look, they're standing in the teacups. Like I don't know the ride operators or who, but people are like literally standing on the platform. I'm like, that was opening day, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, there was different standards for
Clearly.
safety.
Clearly, I mean, it's not like you really fly out of the teacups, right? And I actually, it'd be interesting to see this guy ride the teacups. Did a really interesting YouTube video that I watched about how much G-force do you actually pull in one of the teacups because of the way that they're oriented and the way that they spin. Because they actually kind of spins on a giant circle, but then it also spins on the individual circles, and then you can actually your fixed location, where you're actually turning, that centerpiece doesn't turn. It's your cup that's moving on that center axis, right? So like that's stationary, but you're thinking like that's spinning. No, you're actually physically moving your whole entire cup, and that thing's standing directly still. The way that he measured it was using some mathematical equations, and he wrote it 3 different times, and the highest RPMs that he could get, so like rotations per minute in this instance, was 31, and he pulled 0.69 Gs. So not a full.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd be so curious to know how many rotations per minute you could get on the ones that were unencumbered by brake systems or anything. That would be so crazy
wonder
to
if
see.
I wonder if you could pull some of the footage from those early years and try to like measure it from how fast it's spinning there. I don't even know if you could.
I mean,
but
you could if
interesting.
that's in real time, right? Like that would be one of the things that you have to know is like how was that shot? Like how many frames per second? Because then you could take the frames per second of that photo, then look at the rotations, measure the rotations, find out how long the ride length was, and then you would figure out what the rotation. See, this is like too much math, but you could
I
figure
know.
it out.
Like I'm done. Like,
I'm already, yeah,
nope.
yeah. I can
is a-
conceptualize it, but I'm not going to do it.
I do have a ticket. I saw some of these actual ones in the museum this past week, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the the ticket, and you can see the Mad. I think the Mad Tea Party's on there. Where is it? Just kidding. This one has Alice in Wonderland. That's a
There's
D. It's not.
the Mad Tea Party cups
Oh,
were a C ticket, if I
yeah,
remember
it's here.
correctly.
I I pulled one for Alice too. So this one is the C ticket.
Which isn't that kind of well, no, that makes sense, right? Because A tickets were the cheapest ones and E tickets were the most expensive. So D Alice, the dark ride, would be more expensive than C the teacups. That makes sense.
Yeah, the C, it looks like it has Adventure Through Inner Space, Autopia, Dumbo, Flying Elephants, Mad Tea Party, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Peter Pan's Flight, Snow White's Scary Adventures, and the Shooting Gallery. So this must have been, yeah. So, look, they put Snow White's Adventures and then they put Scary next to it in like parentheses.
Ooh.
Must have been before they completely renamed it. I know that in. Oh, wait, we didn't do the ads. We should do the ads for it before we go any further. Oh, and did you see this? This is the Mary Blair original concept art for the teacup design.
Oh, I love
How
that.
amazing is that? And it's got all the like colors and stuff on it. And in the bottom corner, it just says Mad Tea Party. It mostly has notes about the colors that you use for it.
So I don't know if there's any legitimacy on this. Hang on real quick.
I
The
gotta find these ads.
I don't know. I'm trying to see if there's anything on here, if this is any truth to it, but it certainly is. Hang on, click image to expand view. Yes, please, please enhance. I don't know if there's any truth to this, but it certainly is interesting to look at this U.S. patent for the teacups.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know
I've
if
seen
that's.
that.
It's so tough for me to believe any of this stuff because it looks like the images are so updated, and none of these designs were on the actual teacups. But the rope is there, you know. Not like the
I kind
artwork
of feel
needed
like
to
somebody
be.
made this. But it would be cool if it was real. I don't
I
know.
mean, it's so Kristen got me this, and it is the same exact patent number, the 180585. So
It's
it
possible.
certainly looks like it. Just the designs,
Yeah, I don't
though.
know.
Design is the only thing that gets me. Everything else looks
Yeah.
pretty legit.
It does have the kind of sharper handle on it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, the
interesting.
design, like what they submitted versus what you actually get is, they can be wildly different too.
Right. I have a couple like ads and articles. This one is Disneyland here with this photo. This is, and across the bottom it says, Uncle Walt packs his new park with all the stuff children's dreams are made of. And then it says cups and saucers filled with squealing children as paying guests whirl through Parks Fantasyland at Disney's Mad Hatter's Tea Party.
Please zoom in on the kid in the yellow's face. Do you see that kid in the yellow? That would be a kid squealing at probably somewhere around 47 RPMs and maybe closer to a G on
They're all holding on
on
for
forces.
dear life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I love that there's no adults in any of those cups either. It's just like, good luck, kids. We're all
Nope,
gonna
you
just be
figure
on
that
the
out.
side.
I'm out. I am out.
And this one is really fun. This is an ad for insurance.
Have you broken your face on a teacup? What's the tagline?
It says, they're free from care in a whirl of their own. And then
Oh.
I'll just read the first like two lines because I'm not going to read all of this. But every father would like to take his family on a whirl through Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom. And at home, he wants to enjoy the daily whirl with that same wonderful freedom from care. What does it take to lighten the cares of today? What is it that helps fathers face the future with more smiles than frowns? It's complete modern insurance protection designed by these artists.
In a whirl of coverage, pick your plan and spend it. Hope you don't need to file a claim.
I'm like, wow, they really had to stretch that. They're just like, they're like, how do we connect this ride?
Do you think they were an opening day sponsor, the insurance company? Who knows?
I don't know. I was looking for a date on this. It doesn't say. Insurance by North America. And it's like at the end, it's like, why not call your agent right now? He'll help make yours a family with a future. It's like all about.
That's like,
Be sure to lighten your.
that's
Oh,
like a
be sure to
Mad
lighten
Men
your cares.
style.
Be sure to lighten your cares like a day in Disneyland.
I'm telling you, that's like Mad Men sold that like over, a lot of glasses and some cigarette smoke, and they were like, "This is how your insurance should be. Is you're a whirl of your own," and they're like,
Whirl.
that's right, because you're really carefree, and as the insurance company, you're safe with us, but can be yourself.
It made sense in some really late night meeting with lots of
Do
other
you
things
do you ever
involved.
think about that? Like, man, if I was born in a different era, would it have been easier or would have there been more barriers? Is it because of the knowledge that I've obtained here? I always wonder about that stuff. Like, was I born in the perfect era? Probably, because I wouldn't know anything better. And,
Yeah.
there would be, I feel like there would be
Oh
more
yeah.
ignorance because we weren't at the age of information. So, like, it's not like they could go look at a billion other ads very easily. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right. And I was saying, in that long car trip that Elliot and I had in the last 2 weeks, we drove 3,000 miles. So we had a lot of time to talk in the car. And one of them was just like, I I kind of wish I was born in this like 40s, 50s era. I feel like I was born in the wrong era in a lot of ways. But then I think like, no, in some other ways I wasn't. Like, so there, I'm like, I'm probably fine where I'm at. I'll just
I
pretend
feel
it's
I
the
feel
40s and
like
50s.
your aesthetic and your musical preferences certainly lean that way, but you can
Yeah.
still have those aesthetic and musical preferences in today.
I appreciate the freedom that I have today that I wouldn't have had back then. So I'm good. I'll
Very
stay
true.
here.
Yeah,
I'll dress how I want, listen to what I want, and keep my freedom. It's good. I'm good.
also true.
I do have this one. This one's another kind of whirl.
Well, they're having a good time.
They're having a
It's
great
family
time.
fun
Family fun.
at its finest. I agree. Can you read the long form copy of this family that is twirling around?
Yeah, the Mad Hatter's whirling, spinning cup and saucer ride is the delight of young and old alike, but it is at its best when every member of the family climbs aboard to share the fun. This coming weekend would be a wonderful time to rediscover how much happiness families find together at Disneyland. Disneyland USA, dedicated to the happiness of your family. Walt Disney Productions. Open every day, Santa Ana Freeway at Harbor Boulevard in Anaheim.
Don't worry, we'll be welding these cups together as you spin yourself into oblivion. Do you see that, Dad? Well, he currently has I don't know. It's such a wild concept that I think about a lot of the rides. Like, a lot of the rides were like, they were breaking barriers on new ride systems that nobody's ever used before. It's like amazing less people have gotten hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was really like almost everything was brand new, prototype, right? Experimental, and
Sure.
they were, yeah, it is a bit of a miracle that more people have not gotten hurt. But I do know that they did some testing, but there's no way they can test like 10 hours, 17 hours a day at operating. They can with no people on it necessarily, but with guest usage and stuff that for that many hours. So
But I think people get so frustrated today from a guest experience because rides go down. But if you think about the mechanics and the complications of these attractions, like Rise of the Resistance is honestly a modern marvel. The amount of ride sequences and e-stop locations because of all the complex systems that go to making that attraction possible. It's like, yeah, I get why it's broken a lot, you know?
I mean, it's not like they didn't make it well. It's just getting used a lot. And anything that gets used a lot needs maintenance, and even if they maintain it, it's still going to break. Like my car breaks down, I use it. So it is what it is. Like, and especially rides like that, like you say, and like Indiana Jones is another one. People always complain about that one being down all the time. And I'm like, well, it's really complex ride. There's a lot of pieces to it. And even when they do get it going, usually there's one or two things that are still not working. I've never seen I don't think I've ever seen any of those rides at like 100% capacity. There's always something that's down. I'm looking for my park map, the original one.
Can we talk about why I love your tea party more than ours, even though I really do enjoy our Dormouse?
Yeah, go for it. While
I
I find
love
my
that
map.
yours is outdoors, and particularly the lights. The hanging lights have been, I think, one of the coolest aesthetical additions to, because it's such a pretty ride to begin with. I mean, I like the older look. You know, it looks great. It looks great. It really does. But I'm not transported into the ride, right? I'm
Yeah.
not transported into the story until I get here. And then forget it. Once we're here and you've added the butterflies and all these little kind of like little plants and leaves, and then the trees around it. I mean, there's the Matterhorn. Talk about sight lines. Nice little branch in the way there. Oh gosh, it's too cool. I love it.
Well,
And then at
so
night, it's like I die inside looking at that at night.
so it is. I almost hate riding it in the daytime just because I love how, and
Yeah.
then the lights are different
Mm-hmm.
colors too. It's such. But in the daytime, you get to really see the monorail go by and the Matterhorn, and you get to see a whole bunch of like the life happening around you. And then at night, it's like you're isolated in this little spot. It is. I think it is my favorite one that I have been on yet. And I did go in the Disneyland Paris one, which was also really pretty. We can show picture that. But before we like go too far, I feel like well, we forgot to mention the arches they added in the 1970s, which I do have in this book. There's a really clear picture of that rope on the thing there too. It's like it's a chain, I think, in this one.
There
They
you
did
go.
add these little arches, and then this ride did used to be behind the carousel. So in Disneyland, we had a complete redesign of where this ride was. Thank you. So I have books everywhere. So in this is a map. Whoop. Let's see if I can do it here. So this you can see. This is the castle. We have the carousel. The teacups were right behind it. And then, so when we had the 1983 remodel, they moved the carousel back. They got rid of the ship. This is the Chicken of the Sea Pirate ship. And then they moved the teacups over here near Alice and the Matterhorn. So, in the reason I say all this is because if we're going to talk about Disney World, I think Disney World is really fascinating because its location in Disney World, the reason it's in a very awkward place in Fantasyland is because they echoed where they put it in Disneyland after they did the remodel, because that moved. Let me think. No, that's not true. But what I'm saying, I think that they were planning, they're similarly placed. I don't want to lead you astray because I'm like thinking of dates now. So 1971 is when we got it in the Magic Kingdom. And in Disneyland, we had the remodel in 1983. One echoed the other. I have to think a little bit more about that. Sorry, I should have been more prepared. But in Disney World, oh, I have this great one of the placement.
I have a picture still of 1966, yours being right behind the carousel still. I don't
Yeah. And so they moved the carousel back, and it just kind of gave that whole place more room to breathe. And it made more sense to put it over near Alice, which wasn't an opening day attraction. It opened in 1958. So it made more sense for them to have all of Alice in one area. And they got like a really great view. So, like, imagine you're sitting on the teacups and then you're looking over at Alice, right? And there's the mushroom that used to be pinkish purple. Now it's yellow, but that was the ticket booth. And they have these big old leaves too, which we don't have now. We have that big shade tree. And then this is what Alice looked like too, just to give a little bit of context. That was what Alice looked like when it opened. So, sorry, I went on a rabbit trail, and then I got a little lost. So I read somewhere that it was like the reason why it's in the Magic Kingdom in that position is because that's where it was in Disneyland, but that can't possibly be true because Disneyland didn't move theirs. until later.
Yeah,
But they do echo each other in their positioning.
they do. They do. Well, maybe they were like, you know what, we should put it kind of over on its side. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of location, think about, well, you could echo it because there's an Alice attraction right next to Mr. Toad's, right? Aren't they relatively
Right.
close to one another? And in our instance, our Mr. Toad's and our Alice ride were right next to each other as well. Until they pried him from his amazing home and put a sticky bun bear there, which is awesome. Fine. You know what? I have a proposal. I've come up with a new proposal that I think everyone will be happy with. Because every time I say, let's just get rid of Winnie the Pooh, everybody gets mad at me. So I think I've come up with a good compromise. And I think everybody will be okay with this. Let's move Princess Hall. Let's just get rid of Princess Hall. Come up with 2 other dedicated areas for princess meet and greets. There's plenty of spot. Put them in anywhere. You put a trackless Winnie the Pooh updated over there. It's still 100 Acre Woods. It's right across from Seven Dwarfs. It totally works still in that area. Give us an Alice ride where Winnie the Pooh is, please. I beg of you.
As you hug your Cheshire cat.
I beg of you, please.
Please.
It's like all I want. I know it's not popular though. It'll never happen because it's not popular. I know people would hate me for this too, is in the UK pavilion, just scrap the whole Mary Poppins thing. It didn't need to happen. Let's put Alice there. That's where she has her meet and greet. I know Mary Poppins is there too.
But I love Mary Poppins.
I know.
I'm not
But like
okay with that.
what would they have done though? I feel like they would have given us a walkthrough at best.
They could have done some amazing things. There's all kinds of ways they could storytell Mary Poppins or put you.
I would like to
all kinds
climb-
of magic to her.
I think the only way I want to do a Mary Poppins is if it is a ride and put me on a carousel horse and make me hop around through Mary Poppins' stories. I'm in for that.
I'd do that. 100%.
I would like that. I would do that. Make it like E.T., The E.T. ride where it's just like a platform we move around and hop through.
I'm terrified of ET. You can't talk about ET.
Well, it's
Traumatized by
it's a little much, but it's really enjoyable. It's a great classic dark ride for Universal. Although I still feel I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to ride it again before they take it away. I have no idea when that's going to happen. But I feel like it's coming soon. It's scary.
The one and only time in my life I ever went to Universal, I went on the I think this is why I don't go back. I went on the ET ride and I was terrified of that movie, but my family made me go. And it was the time, I don't know if they still do this, but they would say your name at the end. Like ET would say your name.
Mm-hmm.
As,
yeah, it still does.
And I was, so ET said my name and I just burst into tears and hid. And I was I couldn't, I was so traumatized.
Okay.
Stop.
Well, it's
So,
you know
no,
what? I don't
no
know
ET
if you're
for
so
me.
I don't know if you're so traumatized because E.T. and Elliot.
No.
Okay. You're living in it. You're living your best life.
I always thought he
your
was
best
hiding
ET
in my
life.
stuffed animals.
Yeah, well, but he was dressed up, funny, Yeah.
Anyway, so I do have photos of Magic Kingdom back when Mr. Toad was still there, and this is the teacups at Magic Kingdom. And you can see the castle walls there, that's where Mr. Toad was behind it. And you'll notice something significant as in it has,
Where's the roof?
What is it?
There's no roof.
Where did it go? Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't have a roof. And we talked about this, I think, a little bit.
We did,
When
which
we
is
did
so
Haunted
crazy.
Mansion.
How on earth did they not have a roof for 2 years? 2 years they allowed Florida weather to just dump rain on it all day, every day. That is so. I mean, I get it. They're adding it there. They thought, we'll be okay. We can get away with it. But nope. 2 years later, roof.
Well, it was not only the rain too, it was the sun would heat up all of the metal and the plastic or vinyl or whatever it was made out of, and it would become so hot it would be almost impossible to touch. You think of slides and stuff that sit out in the sun. So it was 1973 was when they added the roof to it. And Southern California, they still do shut down that ride when it rains because it will make all of those plates slip around and it's very, very dangerous. I mean, you can imagine a ride like that really shouldn't be operated in the rain. But
One thing I will say is, it's filled with tea. So if it's hot, there's tea in those cups. Like it's not filled with something cold. This is before iced mocha macchiato grandes. And
yeah,
if it rained in the
yeah.
cup, you just fill the cup up. Get in there. That's why you wear Crocs, people.
Oh my gosh, I have to go back and look at
Thank you,
this. Do
Laura.
you notice something else that's missing from this photo?
Oh, hang on. Tomorrowland Speedway.
No,
I don't
it's
know what
back there.
angle I'm
It's
looking
another
at.
photo. So it's in the, what should be in the middle that is not in the middle in Magic Kingdom?
The Nautilus pond.
No, the middle of the teacups.
Where?
It's in the middle of the teacups.
Oh, the teapot. Sorry, there was like a
Yeah.
little. You're like I'm like looking everywhere else.
Like the teacups. Sorry, I should have been. That was my bad communication.
No, it's
So
okay.
yeah,
It's okay. Yeah,
the
we
teacup
didn't.
with the dormouse is not there. I'm pretty sure that got added when we got the roof. Is when they put the teacup in, or the teapot rather. I'm trying to find my other photos of specifically Disney World.
In a
All that are
world
historical.
all my own.
Oh, yeah. No, I only have like the modern ones.
I'm trying to find a picture with the dormouse popping out. It's kind of
We
hard
have
to
this one.
type that in. Oh, there you go. He's so
So that's
sleepy
that's
all
the
the
modern
time.
one. And they did repaint this roof. They repainted it in 1992, and they changed the music. But I never heard what the where original music was. Do you know what the original music was when
I
it
don't.
opened?
There was. Hang on. Let's see, was it
They
on
added
this
the
one?
lanterns too. The lanterns were added in 1992, and that the same with Disneyland. They didn't have those lanterns either until 1983, is when they added the lanterns and the Martyr house. That is where they have operations from for Disneyland.
I felt like I had one part that actually said what the original songs were.
Well, it's really interesting because this record that I have that I was playing at the beginning of this live, the Disneyland one, is the songs on it are some of the ones they used in the live broadcast, which I think is amazing. So they used some of those in the, and when you, if you watch the 1955 live broadcast, which of course was the largest at that time broad scale live broadcast in the world. It was innovative and revolutionary in that, like, it was massive live broadcast. But they have music that they play throughout it, and some of them are the songs that are on this very vinyl that you gave me. I appreciate.
Now, I'm going to jump. I've never been to Disneyland Paris. I know you have, but I just think I can't wait to be able to ride this version because it's so dramatically different in terms of what the roof structure looks like. It's like a giant flower with latticed,
You have this one?
yes. So yeah. So you got the outside on the left, or depending on who you're looking at, got the outside and the inside. But that is just so pretty. Oh my gosh. It's like that
It
metal
really is.
framework is just insanely cool to look at. It's gorgeous.
Well, and that's what they had planned for Disneyland Paris. This, they said, if we're going to do this here, we have people that every day are looking at amazing, beautiful, out of this world art and architecture in Europe, right? So I said, we can't just make the American version of these rides. We have to make everything look aesthetically beautiful. And so when you go to Paris, you have to go see that in your mind, like they designed this. That's what the castle looks like it does. And it's just unbelievably gorgeous because
Hands
they
down,
had to
best
appeal.
castle in my opinion.
Yeah, me too. And I think that it's you just have to think about, like, okay, they designed it in with the idea of Europeans in mind, and even like the majority, I'd say, of people that go there, a lot are from the UK, and they've got their own beautiful things there. A lot of them
Yeah.
were bombed out in the
Well,
wars,
don't
but
you
they
think
they do too.
don't you think that though there's a little bit of so yes, they have to make gorgeous, amazing things, and then you think about like American architecture and particularly the Western locations that they utilize for Frontierland and like the Haunted Mansion. it's really pretty simple but pretty awesome because they don't have those things. So like that
Yeah.
uniqueness to them. It's almost like I always think back into history when when Ben Franklin went over to France and Paris during negotiations and talks and trying to have the French military come and help during the American Revolutionary War, he would wear a raccoon skin hat when he would talk to them because it made him seem more American, like frontierland, like he was from he's from Boston and Philadelphia, and he's like a statesman,
He's
like
like
a
wearing it
pretty press.
backwards.
Oh my God. It's the funniest thing ever. Hang on, there's a great image of him and it's like hang on, let me show I'm gonna show like just like a normal picture, Ben Franklin. Then you have like Ben Franklin with a raccoon.
He doesn't seem too sure of that hat.
Right. It's like it's not all that convincing, dude. Like I don't believe you know anything about like trapping. Like what's your trapping history like?
Oh gosh, that was a fun aside. Thank you for that.
That
This
no worries, no worries.
this is I'm pretty sure this is Tokyo Disney because they've got the dormouse as well. They also have a roof. I feel like there's just so many ways that the roof could be done better than it is at Disney World. I feel like they need to step up their game because some of these are just gorgeous and amazing, and they don't make you feel like we slapped a roof on it so that it wouldn't get wet.
Well, you know what? I will say, I will say the one thing that does make me happy is that this is an attraction that gets an overlay in Walt Disney World, and so for during Mickey's Not So Scary, they do Halloween colored lights and Halloween spooky music. So I do like that aspect of it, because there's so many things you're correct that could be better. I mean, our representation of Alice in Disney World is lacking. But it wasn't that popular. It's still, I mean, the film was a commercial flop in the 50s when it came out. It wasn't until 2 decades later that people embraced it. And probably, you think about the 70s, and that was a lot of, hippie culture that really made the film pronounced because he's, a caterpillar smoking a hookah. But it really, the
Yeah.
film had nothing to do with that. It was that whole counterculture movement is what really embraced and made it nostalgic and iconoclastic, which is like so funny to me because that's
Yeah.
not really. It failed miserably in the
Yeah.
50s. They'd have been like
Yeah.
reefer
Well,
madness, you crazy people.
well, they had a lot of. They actually had a lot of movies though that didn't do well. For multiple reasons. A lot of going into war and whatnot. Just like they lost their European market. I think Pinocchio is in that bunch that didn't do terribly well because of its timing of when it was released. And a lot of things just didn't do. Sometimes they did better on their second release. And so some of it was just timing. But this one I think is really interesting because this one is before they painted it in 2010. So watch the sign. So this one is the before 2010. I don't remember exactly when. And then this one's after they repainted the roof. Like they rotated the sign.
Which is better, I think, for visibility. You know.
Yeah, yeah, because this one was sideways.
And that's in perspective wise, right? The only way you could see it is if you were coming from Tomorrowland or you were exiting Fantasyland. But the way that circle moves, everybody goes right. Like nobody really goes to the left and off to Tomorrowland unless you know you're going to Space Mountain, and then you're not looking left for the Tea Party. You know what? I actually really enjoy going on it. One, because it's the only way that I can experience Alice in our parks, and two, because it's another one of those rides that almost never has a line more than 10 minutes. It doesn't matter how crazy it is. If I see it at 30 minutes, I go,
Yeah.
"Oh wow, we're like a 9.5 out of 10 crowd level."
Yeah. It's the same at Disneyland too, which is not always the case for a lot of these rides, but it's the same. And I always say, if the line is longer than the shade, just wait to go on it because it'll get shorter because there's a big tree in the queue of Disneyland. It's only a very short queue that goes back and forth. And I'm like, if it's longer than the shade, just don't bother. Just wait and come back later because it will get shorter.
How is the wait time for your dark ride for
For
Alice?
Alice, it can get long in the afternoons, especially. I usually, that's one of, if not the one I rope drop, it's very close to rope drop for me because it's very slow loading. There's
Yeah, the
not that many
capacity.
caterpillars, and you will stand in line for a very long time in the afternoon for that one. So either go very first thing in the morning or late at night. Those are my
Now,
best advice for
let me
that.
just, I have to point out this moment on your live. You legit had Tinkerbell People Mover moment on Alice, if you want to share that moment, because it's just such a
I
cool one.
did. Yeah, so I had a little bonus time in the parks because I wasn't planning on getting a reservation, and they just opened one up. And so I went on Alice, and I was just by myself because my family was back in the room, and I was on a live, and I was in Alice, and then there's a part where the doors open up, and you go out onto the vine that's on the top, right? And when I pulled out onto the vine, to my right, there was Alice almost at the same level going by on the Main Street Electrical Parade. And she was waving to me and she said she liked my ears. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's like the
It was
absolute,
amazing.
like, talk about timing.
It was so
It's like one in a
good.
million, one in a
And
million
like as
timing.
I went down the vine and the caterpillar, I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It was just like, hi, Alice, I'm on your ride. So yeah, it was amazing. I need to pull that clip and post it because that was such a special moment. And I don't know, I just got this like gift of timing for these rides where I come out of places and there's characters there. So I'll take it. I'd love that.
I think
That was fun.
it's just a little bit of Walt's spirit coming back and providing some magical moments, you know?
I can't wait until we do the actual Alice ride because that history of that ride is a trip. So we got to do that one soon. But we won't get into it today because there's a lot there. But I do have a couple more things. I do have this. I just wanted to show this picture because I thought you'd appreciate it.
TikTok Croc just living his no hook life. I wonder if he
He's
spun it all
free
because
as
like
could
his
be.
hands look pretty
I
good.
don't know.
I think he's just
Yeah, I
like
don't
trying to
know.
keep the head on probably because that was back way before they had those the 2004 brake system, so he would have been
Yeah.
flying.
Well, and even then, so it was two times that they made it spin less. Not only 2004 did they do it, but before the first 2 years, it spun completely freely before they put in any sort of just system that would stifle it a little bit. And then in 2004, they made it even harder to spin, which actually is so funny because I remember getting in the teacups and being like, I don't remember it being this hard to spin it. And I didn't realize they had made that change at the time. So
Yeah, it's
now I
actually
feel
very
vindicated.
frustrating
It's not just me. Yeah, it is. It's like, especially for kids, they're just like,
because you're really trying.
like they
You're.
can't.
It's not easy. It's not like the girls. It's funny. Like Mel, when we ride as a family, Mel's like, "Don't go crazy," right? And the girls are like, "Go crazy." So like I'm allowed maybe 15 seconds of like, and then you can tell Mel's just like, enough. Like this is good. But I don't know. I love it. It's so much fun. But yeah, like I could only imagine if I was allowed to spin as crazy as I wanted to, you know?
It's funny because when I just got on with my kids and like I was like, okay, who wants to spin it? Like, who wants it to spin and who does not want it to spin? And like literally all the kids wanted to spin, and I was like, I'll go ride in a teacup by myself. Like, good luck, kids. Like, I can't. I was like,
Yeah.
nope, I would not.
I
I
think
would not be able to walk.
you can regain your tolerance for it. Do you know what I mean? It just takes time. Also, hang on, I found this. I'm just looking at random pictures and I just found this one. He looks so good. I always love
Oh,
like
that's
merch
great.
pictures and stuff too. There's some really cute
Well, and
ones.
the when we went on my Carpe Diem day, since I was just reliving that to make that TikTok, that it was it 6 times? We thought it was five, and then it like did one more right before that. The dormouse pops up while you're on the ride, which was 1 minute and 30 seconds. If anybody was counting, all the rides are 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the dormouse goes 5 times. He pops up 6 times. I want keep wanting to say five. I think it's six.
I've only once seen Alice and the Mad Hatter outside of the attraction, and then I remember for they had the Red Queen out during Mickey's Not So Scary before, over in that area.
Did they not ride in your teacup there? They ride all the time in the Disneyland one.
Almost all these pictures are them riding in Disneyland, having a good old time, because there's no roof.
One of my best memories
Not
with
so
my
much.
girls is they went. There's a little place where the motorboat cruise used to be in Disneyland that's across from the Matterhorn, and sometimes they'll sit there, Alice and the Mad Hatter, and they'll sit there and have tea, and like they'll invite kids to come sit with them and have tea. And my girls got to do that once, and it was amazing. So they're always around Disneyland. They're just walking around.
That's so
Sometimes Alice
cool.
has like a big giant teacup when she does it, which is really fun. And Disneyland had a gold teacup too for their 50th anniversary. It looks like this. I think they're doing some filming in the back of this photo because there's like a big tent. But this is what the gold teacup looked like. I don't think it's still there. I think they repainted it.
You know what's kind of
And it
crazy
used
is
to
like
be-
I saw that and I was so like disappointed. Like we just had our 50th. We could have had something like that, but no.
Could have had a lot of things.
Okay, all right. That's
This is also, for those of you who are not frequent Disneyland visitors, there is a teacup that you can sit in and pose and take wonderful family photos that's right outside the gift shop there, the Mad Hatter's gift shop. And this is one of my favorite places to take pictures, not only from a distance, but also up close. And you don't have to take time away while you're on the ride. You can get some really great shots. And it's most of the time, it's pretty empty. Sometimes they'll have a photopass photographer there. So, wow, look at that Cheshire Cat. Woo.
I know that he's my top want to see in the parks, typically in Disneyland Paris, but has shown up. I believe somebody said they saw him at Oogie Boogie Bash before. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. We
What?
didn't
There
talk
was a
about
March
the
Hare? What is this from? It was a Disneyland Paris meet and greet with the March Hare, and look, they got the
Shovel Bird. What is his name? Does he have a name? Call him Shovel Bird.
shovel. I don't.
Shovel Bill.
Why don't we have this? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about us. I need to go to
Have to
Paris.
come to Disneyland. Disneyland and
I
Disneyland Paris,
know.
which I guess I'm going next year. Next year we just booked a cruise to European.
Oh, that's
cruise
awesome.
on the Disney cruise. So we're gonna do Northern European and we're gonna go to Disneyland Paris. I'm super excited.
That's amazing.
I know. I'm really excited. But my kids don't know. So if you see my kids, don't tell them. So, we didn't talk about the sign yet that's in Disney World. You guys have a unique little tribute sign here. Oh, I had the words. Let me pull the words back up.
Hang on.
Just kidding. Where is it? So this says, be good at something. It makes you valuable. Have something to bring to the table because that will make you more welcome. And it's Randy Posh. I think that's how you say his name. He was an Imagineer who worked in the VR studio, virtual reality studio. He also worked a lot of things for Disney Quest. He was a professor at Carnegie Mellon, and he created some software that's called Alice, which is to help teach programming. But he's really well known for something called The Last Lecture, and I've watched it. It's really good lecture.
Oh, that's the gentleman who got really, really sick and gave that speech.
He gave the last lecture. He was very sick with pancreatic cancer, and so he knew he only had a couple months to live, according to the doctors. And he gave a really very inspiring lecture that became a TED Talk, or was a TED Talk when he gave it. Anyway, he also wrote a book. But so this quote is from him, and the reason why it's from Alice. So there's a picture of him. Might as well wearing a very Mad Hattery hat. And then the reason it is positioned where it is near a Mad Tea Party is he had this picture of his niece and nephew, which he actually uses in the last lecture. And this is of course, them in the teacups, and he references it within that lecture. So he had that sitting on his desk for like 20 years or something. It's like everybody knew that he had that photo because he loved that ride, and I'm sure he loved his niece and nephew too. But and that's why that's there. So if you something to spot, it's not in Disneyland, only in Disney World. So something to go look for when you're there. And it's always interesting because I'm not 100% sure I agree with the entire quote, but I really do appreciate his life and him as a person. So, and it's a good lecture. I would recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely. I remember when I watched it many years ago. Super inspirational at the time, and that was like kind of like before TED Talks really got super popular. It was one of like the very first lecture style videos that got extremely well traveled and sent and shared. You know.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. It's on YouTube if you just search for The Last Lecture and Randy Pausch. I'll see if I can link it in the show notes on the podcast too for you guys.
I also found this board game where you stack teacups, and depending on the size, and whoever topples the teacups loses. So you don't want to spill your tea, Con- both in life and in the game. Don't spill tea.
Don't spill the tea.
That's my recommendation, because loose lips sink
Gosh.
ships.
Loose lips. Oh, I have this great one of Walt. Walt. Uncle Walt from the teacups. Great
He
photo
loved
of
it.
Walt.
He loved going by himself. There's actually a great quote by Walt that says, "A teacup is only as good as the man who sits in it." It's not true. It's not a real quote.
I didn't fall for it that time because I know.
No, the Leota one. You know what I should do? I should go back to that distillery, and now with the words to text with Leota's voice, I'll have her do a couple of my incantations. It
You
was
should
like, "Yo,
do
bro."
it.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple of them. I'll just put her face up and have it just read the text.
Oh my gosh. New technology. We kind of teased that. New technology. Did you see this patent that they submitted? This one? I feel like it was in 2021. So this is a patent for a mechanism that would use kinetic energy of the teacup spinning to illuminate them. And Disney submitted that.
Oh, why
So
didn't they
I
do
don't
it?
know. I don't know if it's like it wasn't that. This is marked May 11th, 2021. So my guess is maybe they're still going to do it. I don't know if they were going to try to get it done before the 50th and they didn't and
Probably
they
for the
scrapped it.
50th. Yeah,
But
yeah, probably.
who's to say that they won't still try to do that because it's actually pretty fascinating because they couldn't has I can kind of I know it's backwards, but it has battery, it has LED, it has an alternator, and it says ride structure down here, and axis and rotation. It says, as described, ride vehicles would be modified to include electric components that create special effects such as unique lighting, differing sounds, and visual displays.
I
So,
wonder where they would have mounted the lights, if it was on the undersides or the sides, because and what would be the intervals, because you would get very different motion blur, which would be tremendous. You know,
yeah. Yeah, it says
is that for
the
the
patent.
Tangled teacup ride that people have been talking about? Jack is saying, is there is
No,
I
because
know
that
they're
one's going to be
redoing sections,
boats.
so
That was that.
well,
I
I
heard
know
that is
he's
a
saying a
boat.
Tangled teacup ride. I know
Oh,
aren't the there was
there's one. I feel like the
I gotta
Tangled
Google
one was going
this.
to be boats, and it was not teacups, from what I heard. And this says this patent details a spinning ride system adapted to convert kinetic energy to electrical energy on board each of its vehicles, with a user input mechanism adapted to receive user input forces to cause the chassis to have movements relative to the support arm. That's what it describes on it. For
Yeah,
anyone
they're
who's
they're claiming
technical.
this. The new attraction would be a spinner ride similar to the Mad Tea Party, but replaces the teacups with wooden boats that spin around hundreds of lanterns. Manufacturer was Zamperilla, and that is clearly a teacup. Although if you look at here's are some of the blueprints, and this was Disneyland Paris. I mean, the blueprints are clearly a teacup ride, but it just so happens that the teacups are boats.
I mean, that was planned for Disneyland Paris, right? The Tangled one?
You are correct.
From what I heard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's so weird. Oh, just studios. Walt Disney Studios Park.
So not Disneyland Paris, the Studios Park. Was I know because they're always trying to
Studios
get people
Park.
to go over there and not being like, well, we don't have enough time, so we'll just skip it, because it really is it was kind of like the half day park like DCA really used to be. Is how people treat that one. So I think they're trying to make more upgrades there, like Avengers Campus and all the things. So that wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to add something like. When was that from? Like, I'm trying to remember when they announced that.
This was at a D23. Let me try to see if I can find. 3 years ago, and when was this posted? So that would have been 2018. It was announced that they were going to make it.
Scrapped. So this is so much sooner than
Probably.
that. So my guess is this was something
They're saying that
about doing.
there's.
Go ahead.
Well, where I'm at is not. This is not. Let's just wait until next Sunday. This is the best
Okay.
way I could put it, because where I'm reading this from is like they're scheduled to no, there's no scheduling anything. It's all conjecture.
But how amazing would that be if, like, the faster you spun your teacup, the more it, like, lit up and, like, things happened? Like, that would be an amazing effect.
I would love if the actual ride vehicles had their own sound, and then when you sped it up or slowed it down, your teacup's music would speed up or slow down depending on how fast you spun it.
Well, that could get really chaotic, but interesting. What sound would you put?
Chaotic. Dude, we're on spinning teacups. Like, what do you want it to be, like a slow thing? That could be really chaotic.
I guess that is the whole tea party is supposed to be chaotic, right?
Yeah,
it's just nothing but
have
chaos.
Have you ever? Did you see it? They literally throw cups, make you move down chairs. They slice teacups in half and give you half a cup. Like, it's ridiculous.
What they do to that watch, like, whew, that's a rough one.
Well, it was a mad watch. What do you expect? You know,
It was 2 days slow or something like that.
2 days
What
slow.
did they
2
say?
days slow.
2 days
That's
slow.
it. 2 days slow. Exactly 2 days slow. And you know what's the worst part is? That was an unbirthday present for the White Rabbit. You know,
So sad.
it's also.
Hey, it's my
it is,
unbirthday today.
I was gonna say the same thing. What a coincidence! It's my unbirthday too. Well, have a very merry unbirthday.
A very merry unbirthday to you, and you, and all of you out there watching.
Yeah.
Unless it's your actual birthday.
Oh
then
my gosh.
No.
Then have a very your birthday.
So ordinary.
I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else? That was really cool, that patent. I'm curious. I hope they use it.
I know. I'll see if I can send you the actual article about it. But, I think that is all she wrote, because all the rest of my stuff started to bleed into Alice, and we can't go down that rabbit hole.
Not today. Not today.
today.
As much as I would like to drink that down, there's some tea that has to be saved for later.
Oh, I do have this. This one is this ride, the Mad Tea Party, is at all the Disney parks except for this one, which is the Winnie the Pooh one instead. And
And that's at what, Shanghai? I think Shanghai is the only one that doesn't have a tea
Shanghai.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hong
So
Kong
it's
has
the
one.
Winnie-
Tokyo
Very,
has
very
one, too.
similar. I think
Yeah.
I have one of Hong Kong too, but so it's a very iconic ride for that. I think this one's Hong Kong.
Shocker,
colors.
shocker, we get no Alice ride and instead get a Winnie the Pooh ride at another park. What a travesty. Here we are sitting in honeypots where we could be
You're
sitting
so
in caterpillars
bitter.
or teacups. I am.
Jackie
I am
doesn't
only
approve.
because I am only because of it took out Mr. Toad's.
I
And
know.
Mr. Toad's
I'm with you on that.
with a dual track, stop. Like, there's no conversation. There's no conversation about it. And
I
I
know.
go
I
on
see
Winnie the
those
Pooh.
videos
I
now. I'm
like
like,
it.
oh,
I like the Sherman Brothers music. I really do. And I have fun on it. I legit have fun on it, Jack. But it's not the same.
well, and I love all those stories of all the people that picketed with Mr. Toad, and they had T-shirts
And they
and
were
everything,
polite
like
about it. They were
organized. They were very
polite.
kind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were there. It was like the first flash mobs, They just showed up in droves and picketed the for a long time to save Mr. Toad. And it's funny, like how many rides would people feel that way now? Like new rides. Do you know what I mean? There's
yeah.
not a lot of new rides that people would lose. I think ET would go crazy. Although Jack is claiming
Not
that there
me.
may be a contract about ET. I was really upset that Jaws went away because Jaws was very iconic.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
in
did like
Disney
Jaws.
parks, like it's not a tremendous amount of things that they've moved or replaced. Like as much as I enjoyed the Nautilus, Seven Dwarfs is a great attraction and I think more approachable for a lot of kids, you know?
Yeah, I
And
feel
it and
like
it gave us Ariel too. It was such a big area to take up. You got
yeah,
I consider two e-ticket attractions.
yeah. I would agree with that. I feel like of the new rides, of ones that they could. I'm thinking about Disneyland for the new rides. Maybe like Cars Land. People really love Cars Land and Radiator Springs. I think they'd be really upset if they got rid of that. I don't think they're ever
That
going to
whole
anytime soon.
section is for this is where for intellectual property that was slightly well received but really pushed on people with multiple sequels. I like the attraction space more than I like the films.
Yeah, I think
Like
I'd
the
agree with
attraction
that.
space made me like Cars more than Cars
Hmm.
making me like the attraction space.
Well, and I love that it's connected to an actual like physical place in America too. It's like Route 66 and the story of what happened to the people there, and it's so iconic. But there's so many details there. I still find new things every time I'm there, and it's all the car puns, and then it becomes completely different in like Halloween and Christmas. Like they all the overlays they do are so fantastic. I could spend days there and just be happy. And
Well, you guys,
yeah,
because you have more regulars, or as they say, the undesirable visitors, it has to change up. So I'm
unfavorable,
happy.
unfavorable
Unfavorable,
mix. I'm
sorry.
part of them.
Sorry. The
I'm part of the unfavorable
unfavorable,
mix.
unfavorable mix.
I want one of those T-shirts that people start wearing. I saw them, and I was just like, I want one of those.
Oh,
Unfavorable
that's so
mix.
funny. Hmm.
That was not Disney's finest moment for talking about their annual pass holders. No,
Nope, nope, nope.
nope. I don't know who approved
I'm gonna
that.
leave it. I can't leave us on a down note, so I'm just gonna have
No.
you see what you can maybe possibly do next year. Is see this whole entire troop. Could you
That would be
imagine?
so exciting. I know. I
Like that
haven't been
is.
with my kids ever. My kids haven't been to Europe yet. So when I went there, I only had one day in Disneyland Paris. They hadn't even built the second park yet, I don't think. And we had like the worst luck. Like either everything was broken or everything broke down. We got evacuated off of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which was really cool. But it started snowing because it was that cold.
Oh my
So that was
gosh.
magical. And it was Christmas time, so we had to see the Christmas parade and then all the Christmas decorations. And it was our very first Christmas as a married couple, and we went to Disneyland Paris, so I can't complain about that. It was amazing. So I'd go back in a
It's so
heartbeat.
weird to me to think about cold parks. It's so funny, like especially here in Florida, because I'm used to it. Six Flags was open later, Sesame Place was open later, and I remember wearing like full out winter jackets and snowing in Sesame Place because we would always go to Sesame Place and Storybook Lands over the Christmas holidays to see all the lights and everything back home, and like it's just like also like Halloween Horror Nights is coming up. I remember going to Fright Fest, which was in Six Flags. Like they're like spooky, scary, and you'd have to be in like hoodies and jackets, or like going to Creamy Acres or all these like haunted house farms, which is very popular in South Jersey and Pennsylvania. is they like turn these farms that aren't pushing crops after pumpkins. So they would turn them into like these crazy haunted houses, which were amazing. It's so scary.
That here too.
But I'm like, I'm going to Halloween Horror Nights in like shorts and Crocs. It's like weird to me. It's not very Halloween. Like to me, Halloween is like a hoodie and jeans, and I'm cold, and we drink like, hot chocolate and yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a really great place here that had like a haunted maze, like a corn maze but was
Yeah.
and it was not for the faint of heart, because I remember they had like a scary bus that you walked through where things jumped out at you. They had at the very end there was somebody who was chasing us with a chainsaw. It was intense. And then you don't know if you can get out. It was really scary. I don't know if I'd do it again.
I grew up in the era of scare performers could grab you and pull you away from your groups and all the awful things that kids now, if they realize that that's what occurred, they would have never went into these things.
Yeah, yeah. They couldn't touch me, but they got really close. It was pretty scary. They're like, ugh. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which, by the way, we procrastinated on buying our tickets and we didn't get any. So we won't be going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. They're all sold out. It's fine. We'll just go eat some food. It'll be great. Elliot's like, we've already been, so we're fine.
Yeah. No, sorry. I had a little one walking out, and I was like, okay. But she was like wandering this way, like to go to the bathroom. I was like,
Well, yep. I don't have anything else specifically about the Mad Tea Party, and I don't know if we figured out what we're doing for next week yet. So we'll
figure it out. If we're a bunch of Dumbos, we'll just do Dumbo. If we're like, oh, I don't know what to do, we'll just get on a flying elephant together.
Dumbo would be fun.
Yeah.
I'd be on board for Dumbo.
So maybe that.
I think it's the time when all the kids are finding us.
Yeah. This is the time when children are present. Practicing their terror.
With childish delights.
That's it. All right. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out. This is part 1 of 1, which is great.
Yeah, part 1 of 1, yes. And I'm sure so I think the plan is that we'll do a few of these, but I feel like we should definitely talk on our Discord about what maybe longer series we want to do for a bigger attraction. We could maybe put it to a vote. So keep an eye out to Discord for that. It's in both of our link in bios, I believe, is a link to our Pocket Fan Discord or Walrus Carp server, it will say. And you can find this story with Kate and Kirk on there, and you can chat with us anytime if you have questions about history. We're always happy to talk to you about it. And then look for this as a podcast. It'll be coming out hopefully in the next 24 hours for me as a podcast, and then sometime on YouTube as well for Walrus Carp, right?
If you guys didn't realize that was like a little bit of a verbal dig, because sometimes I'm not the most quick to upload, but that's fair.
I respect that you're not as fast as me. I have to do the Mom Street one too, so I've got two to do, so I'm going to do them together. So.
Yeah, so you'll get slower, which is good, because then I can be like, oh, I guess I can't catch up on episodes because it's taking forever.
Gosh, no, I just know if I don't do it tonight, I won't get it done, and then nobody will have it, so I know myself.
Well, see, here's the beauty of it, right? It forces people to go to the podcast.
It's true.
That's what I do. Sure. I delay it. I delay it on purpose.
Sure. Yeah. Oh gosh. And then I'm going to see you soon in Disney World yet again. Back again. Probably sick of me by now. Like, I literally just got that content done for my Carpe Diem day. I'm like, I have to get it done before I go again. So.
No, I'm not. And it's funny because, like, you and I, we batch content a lot. So for me, I think I'm still in, like, the end of June, early July on content that's getting posted on my feed. Like, I'm not a first culture person. So, like, I try to make a lot of evergreen stuff because it's just, it's too hard to keep up. There's too much stress to do it like that. Like, that's just not my deal. It's too much.
Well, there's plenty of other people doing that, so we don't need to. We'll do other things.
I know. God, I was I was just talking to or David Vaughn was in a couple of my comments just about Toy Story Mania stuff, and I'm like, dude, he is the spot for Disneyland news. Like,
He
you
really
want
is.
Disneyland news immediately, and I'm like, oh, that is like a heavy weight to like. As soon as you find out something, you got to be there. Like,
Oh,
ooh,
I don't
that's too
envy
much for
that.
me.
I don't think I could do
No,
that
that's too
being
much.
a mom. Being a mom and having a family, I don't think I could do that. I think you could do it if you were really young and you didn't have literally anything else going on. I think it'd be easier. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad somebody's doing it, so I don't have to. So hats off to
Yeah,
David.
because we can just enjoy it. Exactly. 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 All right, the time has come.
Time has come.
I heard kids in the back, so I assumed it's like we gotta
They're
go.
literally right outside my door. I can
They're
hear
gonna
it.
beat
It's
down that
coming.
door if you don't get out of here.
They're like, yeah, they're like dragging each other away from the door. I can hear it.
Barbara, we're coming to get you, Barbara. Gotta get out of there.
I do. Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone,
see
for
you
a
guys.
really
Thank you so
wonderful
much
show.
yeah. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you guys soon, and I'll catch Kate soon too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We'll be back. Okay. Have a great night, everyone.
bye.
We'll
See you
see ya.
guys.